Yo, what's going on, CZN fam? I'm Sue, and in this video, I'll be giving you a basic overview of Chaos Zero Nightmare's gameplay. CZN is a hybrid between a roguelike and a deck building game. In case you don't know what those two genres are, because you're new to this space, roguelikes are games where players traverse randomized dungeons or levels, with each run changing things like the map or the various different upgrades in it. Deck building games, on the other hand, are ones that revolve around players receiving a starting deck of basic cards and trying to upgrade it throughout the course of the game to try to make it as efficient as possible to clear a certain objective. So as you could guess by the fusion of these two genres, Chaos Zero Nightmare is a game that will feature semi-randomized dungeons using either a starter deck or one that you've built up from previous runs. You'll be playing cards from your hand to defeat enemies, all the while trying to get new powerful cards to add to your deck. Let's go over the basics of team building in CZN before I explain the game flow. For starters, you'll be making up a team of 3 combatants of your choice, along with 3 partners. So as you can see here on your screen, I have Maribel, Ray, and Mika. These are going to be the combatants that I use for this video. Your starting deck consists of the basic cards, the starting cards here, that are found under the card tab. So in the case of Maribel, we have Shelter Kick, Shelter Defense, Shelter Hold, and Resolute Blitz, and the ones that you can obtain throughout the run are her unique cards. So once you have all 3 of your characters chosen for combatants, that will make up your starting deck of 12 cards. In addition to that, you will also choose 3 partners. Partners in this game are very akin to like weapons or artifacts from other games. In those games, you're probably used to seeing like a static ability or like a stat boost for your given character, and that's all it really does. That's still present here in Chaos Zero Nightmare, but partners are more important than they are in other games, and that's because every partner has an activated ability. And some of the activated abilities of even the low rarity characters are worth considering because they have either cheap activation costs or they might give you bonus effects. Like in the case of Rachel here, she has a draw 1 stapled onto her for a very low cost. That can be very, very good at smoothing over consistency throughout the run and making a deck just kind of gel just a bit better. So once you've chosen your 3 combatants and your 3 partners and you've chosen the level that you want to enter, you simply are just going to hit that enter button and jump right into the action. And then you'll arrive at the level of your choosing. And if it is kind of like a farm encounter or a story encounter, you'll just jump right into a battle. But if it is a dungeon, you'll be greeted with a screen like this. It may have up to 3 options that you could choose as like bonuses or like a penalty for some kind of bonus later on down the line. Or in my case, you only have 1 here for laziness, because if you exit a dungeon and then come back in, this is kind of like the penalty, the only option that you actually have access to. As you could tell, I have kind of messed up filming this video more than once. Once you're actually inside of the dungeon, the first thing that you should be aware of, if it's available, is the map here in the lower left-hand corner. You want to click this and take a quick glance at the entire route on the way to the boss and kind of strategize and plan accordingly. Figure out what pathing you want to use to get to the end, because there may be certain tiles that you may want to actually go for. So as you can see here, we have the red tile on all of my first options. This is going to be a battle tile, one where you have to fight an enemy. There might be a question mark. This is a mystery tile. It could have some kind of event that's either beneficial or harmful to you. The purple ones are elite fights. These are ones where the encounter is significantly harder, but the rewards are much greater. I highly recommend going for elites whenever possible, unless you are very close to dying. After that, we have the campsite. This is where you can recover some HP, as well as purchase new cards to add to your deck. And then also, you'll see that there is this kind of like diamond shape here. Here you will acquire a random piece of equipment. It's usually of low rarity, but it is still a free piece of equipment nonetheless. And it also allows you to kind of suspend your run in case it's going too long or you're just not really feeling it. You could kind of use this as the spot to kind of temporarily exit the dungeon. And then finally, you'll notice that certain campsites have this shop icon on the right-hand side of the square. This essentially means that the larger shop is available at these spaces, which means that you have the ability to acquire items that you normally wouldn't be able to at a standard campsite, and also have the ability to remove cards from your deck to help increase the consistency. Now that you know the spaces and you kind of have an idea of what route you want to take, you simply just click the encounter. Alright, so now we are in the actual encounter, and I want to take this time to quickly kind of explain the overall UI, starting with the top left here. This is going to be your HP bar. It is the total of all 3 characters in your party. If you were to be attacked, you will notice that there will be a flashing portion of the life bar missing that is letting you know how much damage that you are going to be taking. We are currently not going to be attacked, and I'll explain more about why that is in a moment. Underneath of the HP bar, you will notice each of the 3 characters along with a gauge. This is your stress level. Whenever a character gets attacked, their stress increases. When the stress gauge it goes to full, that character will become unusable until you alleviate their trauma, at which point you will get a bonus. So there is something to be said about taking damage, getting stressed out, and then recovering from the trauma, because there are bonuses, but getting into trauma status is pretty much a surefire way to kind of like get you killed very easily. So that's kind of like where the nuance of the game comes into. Sometimes you want to go into trauma, sometimes you want to stay away from it. Now let's talk about the enemies. The enemy here has 406 HP as designated by this number with the bar underneath of it. Underneath of the HP bar is this segmented bar. This is the tenacity gauge. If you break this, the enemy will take more damage, may potentially be stunned, and also it will refund you 1 action point, which we'll get into what action points are in a moment. Next to the life bar, you may notice a number. Whenever you play a card, this number will decrease by 1 for all enemies. When that number reaches 0, the enemy will perform the action underneath the number. So in this case, this diamond is essentially some kind of debuff. So in 5 turns, this will end up debuffing me. If it had a sword, then it would end up attacking me. If it had a shield, it would be using some kind of defensive skill for its party. So based on that, you could kind of choose which targets you want to fight, because certain ones might be trying to kill you very quickly, so you want to focus those down first. Now, on the left-hand side, you may have noticed that there is this button here. This is the deck. Here, you'll notice it has 7. This is how many cards are still on my deck. You may notice there are 7 in the deck and 5 in my hand. That makes up the 12-card starting deck that we talked about at the start of the video. You could also use this to take a look at the graveyard, cards you've already played, and then exhausted cards. These are cards that have been temporarily removed from your deck from this round. Certain effects might remove them from your deck, so that way you can see those, you can view those there and get a history for it. Next up, we have in the lower left-hand corner the EP, the ego points. Whenever you play a card, these gauges will fill up. You use these ego points to activate the partner skills that you chose at the start of battle. You can only have 3 at once. Once you use 1, another one will randomly cycle in from the unused ones, and you kind of have to kind of pick and choose and cycle through them appropriately. So you'll have essentially 3 ego skills from your partners and 3 from each of the characters that you are playing. Now let's talk about how to actually play cards. At the start of each turn, you will draw 5 cards. You can play cards as long as you have action points available. That is that giant blue number in the center of the screen. So as you can see here, we have 1 point here in the top left-hand corner to play water barrier, 1 action point here to play this water barrier, 0 for essence of water, 1 for material regeneration, and 1 for resolute blitz. So that totals up to 4 action points. So we would not be able to play our entire handout unless a card like Essence of Water says that it would grant us 1 action point. So now you basically just have to sequence how you want to actually take your turn. And admittedly, this is a pretty bad turn to actually show off how this game actually works. So our only attack here is Resolute Blitz, which costs 1. You simply pull it up out of your hand, and you'll get this like crosshair here, and you drag it onto the character that you actually want to attack. And you may note the card's effects. In this case, it's Pulverize, which is a keyword that decreases their tenacity by 1, as you can see by the segmented bar going down 1. And then it will deal some damage and give me access to the ability to counter. So now that I've played the card, you can see I have 2 action points. 1 card was added to my discard pile, which is the Resolute Blitz. And then the counter here has moved down to 4. Now, we could play the rest of our hand, but we're already at full health. Once you're done, any cards that you have not played will end up going to your discard pile. To end your turn prematurely, or just to end it period, you just hit this little check mark here. Now, this is a much better looking hand. So, you may notice when it comes to playing cards that you will have this gold star in the top left-hand corner of a card. This is an epiphany. When you play this, it adds one of your character's unique cards to your deck. It might be random, or it might give you the ability to choose and play, or play one of them, pick one of them, and add it to your deck. So, as you can see, we didn't get a random one. We have the choice of what we want to actually add to our deck. So we can either add Snack Time, which exhausts itself, to select one card from our hand and exhaust it to gain some healing and draw a card. So this is like a deck thinning tool. We use it to remove cards temporarily from our deck, so that way throughout the rest of the encounter we can draw specific key pieces, like you get rid of the useless parts of your deck. Or you could take Resonating Darkness, which is a bonus effect that once we play it, we'll have it for the rest of the encounter. And it says that it will increase the damage of our cards that cost 1 by 40%. So let's take Resonating Darkness. And when you get the Epiphany, it will cost 0. So we'll play Resonating Darkness. And as you can see, it has increased the damage of our Dark Blade attacks. And since we have 2 AP left, we can play both of them out. It's still alive. And as you can see, we can end our turn. The 4 goes to 0. We get hit. We take some damage. And Maribel, who took the hit, gets some stress. So now we can kind of continue on and do what we want to do here. So let's go Water Barrier to heal up some health. And then we can play Shelter Defense to just to generate the ego points, because we know that Shelter Kick will kill here. And that is essentially how a battle goes in this game. I'll show you guys one more before we wrap up the video. So here's another enemy here. So we could start by going for Resolute Blitz here, because it has an Epiphany, and now we can choose one to add to our deck. We can either gain Wolf's Dome, which leads us into a counter attack style, or we could go for Maribel Shelter Mark II, which leads us into more of an offensive style. Alright, so we take that, attack here, and then we want to go Shelter Hole, and then no reason not to gain the health here and get the free attack off of Water Arrow. And then let's say, for whatever argument's sake, we're scared of taking damage, we can activate Unbreakable here from Maribel, because we have enough ego points. And you can see our shield here goes up to 251 besides our life bar, so we have, essentially, we can block the first 251 points of damage from this enemy. And as you can see, where Maribel was, a new skill cycles in. Now we pass our turn. And we only took 72, and Maribel counters. We can play our Resonating Darkness once again to increase the damage of Strike of Darkness. And also Shelter Kick. And that enemy is defeated. And that pretty much kind of concludes the basics for how to play Chaos Zero Nightmare. Hopefully that was of some help to you. If you still have more questions about how the game flow works, or you have any questions of the game in general, feel free to let me know down in the comments section below. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later now.